So today's topic, resisting.
Yes, major resistance.
Major resistance. We are in February 19th, right?
Mhm.
February 19th, 2023. I sat at my desk this week just thinking like being an example for people
Mhm.
as I am myself battling for resistance. But I think more than anything, people always talk about your why.
Mhm.
And I think for me personally, not that I have everything that I want, but I'm in a really good place.
Mhm.
I do want better, but I think for me, my why has become the people.
Okay.
Um, Setting an example, like leading by example, being a woman of her word, and not just because I am complacent in where I am at. Um, Staying dedicated to what I said for the people.
Mhm.
So all that to be said, I like put a post. I don't think anybody liked it, but that's okay because that's not what I did it for.
Yeah.
This year I think I'm going beyond the likes
Mhm.
and stepping into my purpose because the likes will come in the future.
Mhm.
That's not what I'm searching for. I'm searching to put my purpose out there. And what I was asking people is, what have you done in 2023 that has made a difference?
Mhm.
And now I'm asking myself that, as long as well as our listeners and Jennifer,
Mhm.
um, what are we doing in 2023 to make a difference? Because we cannot expect different results doing the same thing over and over again. And for me, so many years have gone by where I'm like, oh, it's January, beginning of the year, and that's what I was sharing in my post. I'm like, beginning of the year, February, okay, we still have 10 months,
Mhm.
right? And then spring break comes and we'll do it after
Oh my
spring
gosh.
break. And then the summer comes, and for a lot of us, we're mothers, it's like, oh, when the kids get on summer, then I'll have more time. And then you realize you don't have time.
Mhm.
And then summer goes by, and you're like, okay, as soon as they get back to school, and then it's already August.
Mhm.
And then you're exhausted from the summer.
Mhm.
And then you're like, okay, well, I'm going to start, just give me like a week or two break, and then I'm going to start. And then the holidays come, Halloween, Christmas. But before you know it, the year has gone by and you
Yeah.
did nothing. So right now, we were resisting the podcast as well. I was like, are we doing this? Are we not? Like, I'm perfectly fine not. Like, I'm not going to be upset, but at the same time, I feel like it's something that we owe to the people.
Mhm.
Um,
And we committed to it.
and we committed to it.
Yeah.
And you have to do what you committed to, even though you don't feel like it, right? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, that's just life. That's just part of adulting. But more than anything is being true to yourself. um you owe this to yourself. You deserve this for you,
Right.
you know and yeah, so resisting, like, every day, I have to ask myself, what am I doing today that is I'm really going to thank myself in the future?
Mhm.
Or even if it's resting, sometimes we do need a rest.
Mhm.
And I mean, last night I went to bed, I didn't wait for my man to come home, and today I feel fresh, and I'm like, I'm sorry to him that I didn't get to say good night, but I'm like, I'm a better person today because of
Right.
that.
You're like, I'm fresh. I'm better. No, it's true. I had that same conversation with myself this morning or this afternoon when you text me, are we meeting up? I'm like, oh, I really don't want to. And it's not so much that I didn't. I'm like, why don't I want to? Like, what's the reason? And it's nothing else besides laziness. Or I don't know what I'm resisting, but I'm like, I'm not into it. I don't want to do it. Like, oh, it's a chore now, when literally we've only done it once. So I think it was just and I think we talked about it last time. Like, I tend to put so much pressure on myself over things. It's like, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right. So then you start coming up with these pieces that where I'm unorganized. I don't even know what we're doing. Like,
Right.
we haven't even edited the last podcast, which you guys don't know
Right.
that, but we haven't. It's coming though. I'm gonna work on it tomorrow for sure, for sure. But just things like that, and it's like really like why don't I want to do it? I'm like, so we discussed this and we both wanted to do it just kind of as a creative outlet, not so much looking for any benefit from it other than sharing what we know. But for some reason, my subconscious put pressure on myself that's like, no, like it has to be done right. Look at all these other podcasters; they have all these professional photos, they have professional, and like you guys are just getting out there, which is we just talked about it last time. That's what we do. Like
Right.
that's what we do, and that's what's been working. So it's like I don't know why I was resisting it so bad. So I'm like, no, I committed to it, and it's like what you said, women of our word. Like we committed to it. We said we're gonna meet every other Sunday. I'm like, no, we're gonna meet up. So I guess I can say I forced myself to be here, but I'm happy that we did because I we love having these conversations, and we always
Yeah.
need a refresher.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I got two things from what you were saying to add. Besides that, also, we talked about happiness as progression, right?
Right.
Every time, like, I know you don't want to do it right now, or maybe coming here, you were, resisting.
Mm-hmm.
But then once you do it, you're like, man, like, it's just an endorphin that releases out your body and you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, not making it complicated as much as we do, right?
Right.
Simplicity is the answer. Simplicity is the key to success.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, like we resist so much. Like I was telling you, I was resisting the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes today they preach about um, resisting God's word, because we have a different perspective on God's word, but God only has one perspective,
Right.
and it's like, oh no, you know, that's not how I see it, but then the how I don't see it, gets us in trouble in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. It does, and I just want to say, like, the podcast is not the only thing I've been resisting. I've been resisting a lot, and I meant to tell you about this, but I'm like, I'll just tell her in person. I met with a potential coach, and it was so funny because in those 30 minutes that we had that call, it was like, oh my god, like this is all stuff that I already know, but it's just about having that accountability and having somebody remind you, like, hey, like, what are you doing? You need clarity, and
Right.
we know that, and you think you have clarity until you talk to somebody like a coach or a friend, and they're like, no, you don't have any clarity.
Right.
Like, you need to figure it out because at the end of the day, that's what holds us back. It's like he said, if you don't have clarity, then you have uncertainty,
Yeah.
and that's where we start getting all these excuses, and like we overthink things so much,
Yeah.
and it just you're thinking about stuff and then overthinking it, it literally is exhausting and it drains your energy. Where if you just take action and work and do what you have to do to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, like it'll be over soon. And like you said, those endorphins, you feel good about it, you feel accomplished, you do what you said you were gonna do, and then you get to move on, and then you get the results.
Right.
The results come eventually.
Right. And I think, like, also that uncertainty is like what most people operate on,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like fear of
Right.
fear of what's coming next.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just talking to Tony about this, like, so many people, it's like, what drives you? Fear of what's going to happen next? Or is it really, again, the resisting? For me, it's like resisting of my greatness, fear of success. And it sounds crazy, but literally so many people are fearful of success because they know success requires another level of expectations, letting go of certain people. And so we resist, and that's like where I'm at this year. It's like I am no longer gonna resist my greatness. Like, I told Jennifer, cale a quien le cale. I'm like, if my shine, like, is too bright for
Bothers
you,
you.
put some damn glasses on. And I'm like, I'm no longer operating on that resistance of my success. Like, I'm stepping into, and we'll go into the battleground, because I know God is my fighter, and he gave me a vision for a reason, and we're just gonna have to work it out, and devil's gonna have to move out the way.
Yeah, we're gonna fight him. Sure.
We're gonna fight.
Pull up on him. No, I love that, and it is true. Like sometimes we try to. it's like they say, make yourself smaller. Or something that I feel like I've been doing a lot with here lately, and I hate to say it because I feel like it's such a trend. Such like the
A
hipster thing to,
cliche.
yeah, the imposter syndrome. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
like I'm like, no, I did not just use that word. I hate it, but it's so true. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it's just sometimes you don't even recognize it when you feel like you don't belong in a certain area or in a certain situation, a certain thing. You're just like, no, this is too much for me. And sometimes you don't even realize it, but just your subconscious, your energy is just kind of like, oh no, let me go back to what I know because I don't belong here, or like I heard, I don't know if it was a podcast or something that they said you um like you feel so lucky to be there, like, oh, I just got lucky. And it's like, no, you worked your ass off, you did what you had to do, you made the right connections, you met the right people, like you belong there. And just like anybody else, like you're there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's where it was. Okay, so I went to breakfast. You remember Elizabeth Quintero
Mm-hmm.
from Karen's
Mm-hmm.
group? So this is from a coaching group we were in. I went to go have breakfast with her. We're just, talking and stuff. And um, she was asking me about the real estate world, and because she's thinking about getting licensed. I told her how it works. I'm like, yeah, you should try it. And I don't know how the conversation came up, but I'm like, yeah, I've already sold 4 houses this year, so the market's like. She's like, you sold 4 houses? I'm like, yeah. She's like, and it's only February. I was like, yeah. Like to me, it's just like another day, another,
Mm-hmm.
like it's no big deal. But then she's like, well, because she has somebody in that she knows that is also in real estate, and she's like, yeah, she's doing okay, but like, you're doing great. And I always, like, we downplay it. and
Yeah.
and it took me back to a podcast that I heard from Joel Osteen that says, like, don't let what was once a miracle become your new normal.
Right.
And I think that's exactly what happened to me. That is, like, I just got used to doing this all the time and just being good at it. Then I'm like, oh, it's just another closing. And you don't, I kind of like got desensitized to it, where it's like, it doesn't, it's not as exciting as it was to me. Like, oh, I have another client. Oh, I have another closing, because it's like, okay, I'm normal at it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think it's normal, but then you look around you, and there's always people telling me, like, oh my God, you're doing so good. And oh my God, just this other day, this girl that I'm mentoring, she's like, oh, you have your office, like, that's so cool. And I'm like, I remember when I first started real estate, and I'm like, oh, I would never pay that much for an office, because my money. And I was like, so at the moment, I wasn't used to, I wasn't making as much money, but it was just so impressive to me. And now that I'm here, I'm like, oh, it's no big deal, like, it's just an office,
Right.
or it's no big deal, it's just 4 closings. Because I compare myself to people that are doing a lot better than me, and I'm like, I'm not there yet. So you kind of downplay what you have accomplished, and you don't appreciate it. Like
Mm-hmm.
this year, I made the top 500, or 2022, I made the top 500 in our brokerage, and really, out of those top 500, I was number 256 or something, so about
Mm-hmm.
half of there. And I was like, oh, like, top 500, like, hell no, I'm not number one. And then it took me
Mm-hmm.
back out. I didn't understand the meaning of it. 2 years ago, I made top 100. And at the moment when it happened, I was so busy just trying to, like, hustle, 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 that I didn't even realize, like, the importance of that. Like, that meant that I'm the top 100 in the whole brokerage that has thousands of agents. And I'm like, I really just let that fly by, and I didn't even, like, celebrate it, because
Right.
to me it was just normal,
Yeah.
And I think that's our issue, is that we are overachievers, I guess.
Yeah.
And we're just so used to, this one sounds so, humilde. It sounds so cocky. But it's like, we're just used to being great at what we
Yeah.
do, or doing good, that it's like, when we start, we're like, yeah, we're excited, we love it. And then we get there, and we're just kind of like, oh, it's just another day.
But I think that, like, that kind of goes back to, for me, like, just foundation, right? Like gratitude. Like,
Yes.
that's why your morning routine is so important,
Mm-hmm.
and to, like, literally live day by day in gratitude. Because had you been having your morning routine, for not to call you
I
out, it's
did
like,
though. Well, here, I mean, right now I do. Okay, that's another thing we talked about. Because when I was doing that, we were in Carolyn's group, so that was a part of my morning routine, was the gratitude and stuff. But when I met with Elizabeth, and now I do it, but it's like I told her, I'm like, I do it more because it's part of my routine. Like, it's not.
you're not feeling it.
Yes, there isn't any feeling behind it. I'm kind of like, oh. And I do mean it. Like I'm grateful for those things, but I'm not as grounded or as present as I was back then. But then at the same time, I feel like I kind of flew by that time and I didn't really enjoy it all. I don't know.
Right.
I need therapy.
Hey, that's not bad. Um, yeah, no, for sure. I think, but another thing as to what you were saying about being in the room, and you posted something about this last time again. I think we talked about it on our last podcast too, right? Like
Yeah.
to bougie to be hood, and
Yeah.
to hood to be bougie, right?
Yeah.
And
We
you're
don't
like,
fit in.
but
Yeah.
I think for me that's the goal, because how many times did we walk into a place and we're like, dang, like this is where we were supposed to be, like this is where we have been meant to be, like
Yeah.
we were stepping and we were feeling it and we felt a part of, versus like as much, honestly, like as much as I want to, I haven't gone to a club, and I don't have nothing against the clubs. I want to be there. It's just not my priority. Or when I go, I instantly regret it because I'm like
Worried for your safety.
what am I doing? Like what am I doing? This is not
Yeah.
like, again, I'm like, I want to be where those people are. Ariel, I want to be where the people are. No, but I want to be um, part of and not have the imposter syndrome. And I think part of it goes back to like putting yourself in those rooms,
Yeah.
like not resisting to being in those rooms and getting comfortable with that, because what it is out of your comfort zone. But I think as the more you get comfortable with being in those places, the more those places look for you, and at the end of the day, I mean, we've been there. We really are not an outcast. We're part of.
That's the thing, though.
And
Oh, sorry.
they embrace you.
They do, and that's the thing. I'm always preaching that, like, these people that you're like so uncomfortable around. Most of the time, they're super welcoming and nice. It's just us, and I don't know about you, but I know I go through my phases where, like you said, yeah, we belong here. Like this is what we didn't want to do, and I'm still the same way. But then, for example, the other day, me and Ivan went on a date night and went to a steakhouse, and I don't know why I was so nervous. I was so nervous, and I got there, and I was like, oh my god, like a fish out of water. But I think it's I don't know. I guess it's like what I've been doing lately. I haven't really been surrounding myself around that. But when I was sitting there, that's when I realized I'm like, I legit and like I have this stupid ass. Excuse my language. But I was so upset. I'm like I'm literally sitting here with imposter syndrome. Why? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like this is stuff that we do all the time. Like why am I acting funny right now?
yeah,
Because I was so uncomfortable and it was just weird. And that's what kind of I guess brought it out to light for myself because I always thought like that's so dumb. Like I already know where I belong. I know
yeah,
who I am, this and that. But it's something in my subconscious that I don't know what it just triggered, and I'm just like, oh my god, like what is going on? And I think I figured it out throughout the weeks. I've been processing and working through it. It's the fact that I've been spending more time than usual on social media, and you see these girls that go out to steakhouses. And again, I'm not trying to knock anybody, but it's like I don't even want to say it anymore. Like while I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I don't want to offend
but
anybody. But it's like they just like over the top outfits, makeup, hair. And I'm a simple girl, so I'm like, damn, like do I have to get all the way done up to go eat a fucking steak? Like I don't want to do that.
right.
Like mejor take me to tacos. Like that's too much. So that's what got to me. It's like, oh, like is my outfit cute enough? Did I do like do I do my hair? Do I not? Do I do makeup? Obviously I did get nice, but I didn't go all over the top. And I'm like, when before I got there, I was like, oh my god, I feel like my outfit's too like low key. I'm gonna be out of place because I'm sure everybody's gonna be dressed up because that's what you see on Instagram. The girls with the big old
Yeah.
heels, the fashion over dress, and you're just like, oh my god, that's not me. But then you get there and it's like everybody's normal. Nobody is dressed like that. You know what I mean? And the people that are dressed like that are the ones that are actually, which is good for them. They're standing out. I'm sure that's what they wanted. But at the end of the day, that had me feeling like I'm not dressed up enough, or I don't look a certain way. So I'm like, I'm gonna feel out of place, and they don't care. They're gonna take your money anyway. Number one, number two, the people that go there frequently, they're in there with like their regular little dress on,
Exactly.
and we know this because
Right.
we have this conversation all the time. How people
Right.
like no sale, you know?
Yeah.
So
No.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm not even gonna finish. But anyway, that made me feel like, girl, what are you doing? Like, what are you worried about? Why do you care what people think or do? At the end of the day, you're here, have dinner, eat, and go home. Like, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
And like afterwards, I felt a lot better because we got it out the way, and it just kind of how do you say it? Like it I don't know how to say it.
Like charged you, reprogrammed you, rebooted you.
Reinforced me, I guess. I don't know, but it kind of showed me like you don't need to do all of that
Yeah.
to do what you do. And we've had like literally we've had last minute experiences where you would think that you just have to do the most, and it's like no, it's just an experience. Like anybody can do it.
Right.
But
No, for
then
sure.
anybody, not everybody can do it. You
For sure.
know, so
Right,
I don't
right.
know.
No,
I'm
it's
crazy.
it's for sure. Like I think I don't know, like it's how you say like for me a lot of these things have become so normal, but I don't I don't know. I don't even post half the stuff I do. I don't even
Yeah.
like because another thing is that we've tried to do is be present in the moment.
Yes.
And sometimes people share, and I know like I get a little vibe like they're trying to brag to me about it. And I used to try to one up them. I don't know if it was part of my insecurity, like, oh yeah, me too, blah, blah, blah. And now I kind of just listen because I'm like, why am I even like, it's not even about me. Like, let me embrace them and let
In
them
their
have their
moment.
moment. I'm like, because at the end of the day, they don't need to know if I do it or not. Like, I'm just like, I mean, sooner than later, the truth comes out. So I don't need to tell my truth, or I don't need to try to one up
Yeah.
somebody, and,
Yeah.
um, but anyways, that's probably off topic.
No,
But
I mean it makes sense because it goes hand in hand. And sometimes I think I'm guilty of oversharing sometimes, but it's more out of excitement.
right.
Like, oh, I did this. Oh, yeah, me too. Did you like it?
Yeah,
Da, da,
yeah,
da.
yeah.
But not everybody receives it that way.
Right.
So I've been working on like holding back on that. And there's only certain people I can have those kind of conversations with because not everybody's gonna receive it well. And so don't think you were one up because I'm sure one you were just trying to share your
Right. No, a
experience.
lot of times I was like
Yeah.
excited, like how you said me too,
Hmm.
but then I'm like,
People made you feel like you were trying to one up them.
yeah.
Yeah, because that's how I was. And then I'm like, but when I thought
Yeah, because
about
then
it,
it became like a back and forth thing, and
yeah,
I'm like,
that's not
why,
even
why,
what
am,
it is.
why am I sitting here trying to explain myself,
Yeah, exactly. No, I know exactly what you mean. So I mean, it's it's crazy. We're all crazy. Point of this podcast, we're all
We're
crazy.
all crazy. We
we
all
all
need therapy.
we all have issues. And no, but I think as long as you acknowledge it and you're working at it, then that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. Most of us, all of us, are mostly insecure about one thing or another. We just have to work on it daily and
Right.
know our worth and know that we're at the right place at the right time that we're meant to be.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Hmm.
What do you? Anything else?
No.
We're
Do you have
both
anything
like,
else?
oh, we need a nap.
I think we forgot to introduce ourselves.
I did. I caught that, but I'm like, it's too late.
No, we could close out with it.
Okay.
My name is Raquel Vasquez.
Jennifer Martinez.
And this is our second podcast. Let us know how you like it. Like if you like it, share. If you don't like it, keep it to yourself. No, just kidding. Leave us a comment. Tell us, feedback, what you would like to hear about, any questions that you may have for us.
Share your experiences as well, because again, most of the time we're all going through it at the same time, and it just helps to talk about it, opens up conversation, topics for us to talk to you guys about, and then maybe we can interview somebody.
Right.
That would be a fun time.
That would be a fun time. And like she said, if you don't want to put it on there, if you just feel like you want to reach out, you can find our Instagram and or Facebook and just send us a message, send us a DM, and we'll be happy to help as much as we can and get back to you as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. And our Instagram handle is Chisme. We're so excited.